Get up and get loud. It's game day. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to bring you the second series of today alongside the man who nearly did not make it, alongside myself, CJ, it is a dream to see you here today.
Mate, it is an absolute pleasure to be here. I've made it just in time to see OCE's last hope here, Ground Zero. Can they make it out of their group into that round of 12?
It's going to be exciting to see who manages to get through into that top 12, especially considering the stakes on Gladiators. Going down by that first goal, super lucky. Somebody who's brand new to this Ground Zero team too.
And this is a perfect matchup here for Ground Zero. Obviously, they had a couple of rough games early, to say the least, but coming up against Gladiators, this is APAC. This is a series that you'd think Ground Zero would be favourites for. They should take it out. They can get a lot of confidence from this series.
Gladiators a lot more new into this kind of situation too, with Ground Zero having, you know, Fiber and Kaka. They've not come to these RLCS events before, but super lucky. That man has been to literally worlds at this point, and he has done a decent job there too.
Yeah, he's been the OCE MVP online as well. He obviously, the Pioneers roster last split, it didn't quite work out at the major. Now he's on this new lineup. Fiber as well with Kaka making their LAN debut. He's the man, he's the leader right now for this team.
A couple more saves coming out from Ground Zero as Gladiators managed to get it round towards that left-hand wing. Maxu onto the ceiling with a touchdown. Sees OSM, that's on target! And my word, drawn up.
Not often we see OSM downfield for the redirect. Usually he's that 1v1 maestro, but just a beautiful pass down from Maxu. Redirect top corner. That's what we like to see from Gladiators. These guys can play.
I feel like a lot of people as well are going to know OSM from his 1v1s, having those, as Jorby said, the low 50s, and making sure that he gets a lot more serious control of the ball rather than being incredibly flashy. However, getting shots of that and passes down, that synergy that Jorby was also going on about, is exactly what Gladiators are going to try and do to break down Ground Zero.
And they're used to being the underdogs as well. We saw what they did in the final regional in APAC against Elevate. We're thinking surely Elevate again are going to make another major. But they find a way, and this man, LCT, is paving the way.
On that right-hand side, he catches it from Super Lucky's pretty errant mistake as he gets forced by Maxu, who can then try and get over the top of Kaka, but LCT is the one, manages to get a second goal for Gladiators, and this would be the best result for APAC at any RLCS event. This is a huge series, because bear in mind, lose this, you go home. That is it for the Winter Major.
They only get one spot as well, the APAC region, so these guys are representing their entire region here. Gladiators, you could say, you know, Elevate, we're expecting them to make all the majors, but this team here could be the one. It wasn't Elevate in Rotterdam, it could be Gladiators to get that first series win for APAC.
And it was huge that these guys managed to even qualify to get to this point as well. Elevate were up in that finals, and then they came back. Their mental is so strong, and I wonder how that's going to affect them in this series. Super Lucky, though, weaving his way over the top and slings it from up high.
The MVP of OCE, there he is, over the top of OSM, gets the extra touch. Gladiators defense capitulates. We've got a tie game.
2-2, 3 minutes 20 remaining. Opportunities for both teams so far. Decent saves as well, but when you look at them statistically, I'm going to be honest. CJ, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
It's not a pretty time when in your group you've got Liquid and Secret, who have essentially, right now, farmed these two teams. But Kaka coming out with a goal for Ground Zero.
It only takes one series to turn it all around. And look at Super Lucky off the ceiling, drop down. This is what we're seeing online for Ground Zero. Maybe this is the start of something special.
Lockie is feeling it so much more by the looks of things in this series too. At least in this first game, we saw him yesterday. They looked pretty dejected, to be completely honest. They looked upset to be on stage. Neither of these teams so far have won a game. Anything that happens in this series is going to be massive regardless.
Well, the problem with these, you know, these emerging regions, if you will, by region, OC and APAC, you come in with zero expectations, but at the same time, you're sort of thinking, gee, could we win the whole thing? And then you sort of drop a couple of games and you can really lose that mental. So for Ground Zero, they just need to get back to enjoying Rocket League and playing for each other, playing as a team, and just having fun out there, which is what we're seeing.
I mean, also, that's what you do online, right? When you're competing on these regionals, you're thinking, cool, let's see the best that we can do. We may not win it necessarily, we might be up there, especially if you're a major competing team, but you need to just play how you know to play. If you put too much on your plate, then you're just going to leave so much wanting.
It's all about managing expectations, and right now, we're starting to see Super Lucky come back in form, which we hadn't seen in the first couple series. As we said, both these teams 0-6. It was a tough group here in Group C.
Liquid and Secret, I mean, come on.
It's a very tough group.
Come on!
How well they're playing as well, but it's fantastic to see these two teams battling it out, and we got a close game one here as well.
OSM onto that back ball with not too much boost. Can't catch up with the ball. Super Lucky in defense, trying to continue from his offensive prowess that we've seen earlier in the day. OSM diving across the pitch, trying to shut down Ground Zero, knowing that one more goal within the 2 minutes left may well put that win out of reach.
A little bit of a stalemate here, but OSM might be able to drop that one. Save off the goal. The follow-up. Kaka does get the save. LCT pushing forward. Gladiators still on attack, trying to keep this pressure in right now. Kaka does well with the solo play out of defense.
Yet again, the midfield having a battle to try and secure that boost. Gladiators getting low a good few times so far. They need more boost to be able to push down into that blue half. OSM finding Maxu, up for that double touch by Kaka, straight onto the backboard to shut down that offense.
Yeah, the play was just a little bit too slow there for the double, but again, Gladiators, they're keeping control and they've got the boost management as well. Lockie's a little bit low, does get that mid boost. Now Kaka off the ceiling, tries to go backboard. Maxu, great backboard clear now. The game seemingly to settle down a little bit now. Both teams trying to fight it out. 1 minute on the clock. What can Gladiators do? Almost breaking the deadlock.
Big dive in from Gladiators. Now they're going to be left completely vulnerable in that backline, and Maxi manages to dive his way back instead. LCT challenging against Kaka on the left-hand wing. OSM passing back down to LCT. A shot towards the target. Super Lucky once again saving. Finds himself on the backboard with boost, with a second touch, and then a 50. What a performance he is putting in early on in this series.
It's great to see the confidence from both these sides as well. It might just be the matchup thing, knowing that these guys they're familiar enough with each other right now from OC and APAC respectively, and we're seeing the speed, we're seeing the confidence from these individuals.
Final 30 seconds, Ground Zero wants to get another goal just to bolster that lead at Gladiators. Needing one lest they go down yet again and go 0-7 in the tournament so far. But an initial win for Ground Zero, looking big until Maxu fires one on target.
Oh, it just feels like we're going to get a series here, ladies and gentlemen. Gladiators get the equaliser. It's Maxu there. Fiber just had to respect the double touch from LCT. Didn't come through. Maxu slots it away. Tie ball game.
Overtime in 13 seconds unless one of these teams is able to sink one home. OSM going for that kickoff, but it falls down nicely towards Fiber. With LCT sending that one very weak towards the net, ends up being more of a pass towards OSM. Maxi central, Maxi to shoot. That's two players coming in for the defense. Kaka confident, tries to go for that dribble, and then he goes, nah, you know what, fair play, send that to the floor.
I think they want overtime here. This has been all Gladiators the last 2 minutes. They've had all the pressure, the boost control. Let's see if they can keep that up in this overtime.
Early offense as well, Maxi with a chance on target, but didn't think it'd be that clean necessarily, so therefore couldn't get the shot off much more convincingly than he managed to. Lockie from the backboard, challenges versus Maxi again in the sky. No touches coming in, but look at the pressure straight away. Gladiators forcing Ground Zero with that vice grip.
This has been Ground Zero's biggest problem this whole major is their defense. Offensively, they're still creating the pass plays, the solo opportunities, but defensively, they're just falling apart a little bit. Gladiators now, perhaps down the other end, is Fiber going to be able to get a flip reset, maybe a bump as well? Off the line, no! Maxu gets a save.
Good chances now starting to apparate for Ground Zero. Kaka under the crossbar. OCE securing their first in this major.
Finally, they get their first win on the board, and it's Kaka, the land debut for him. He pops off as well on the play again. He's happy about it in front of the crowd. First time for him and Fiber. It is Ground Zero getting the first game on the board.
But good play from both teams going to an overtime so early on as well. You know, they saw the Pioneers get their first win in the previous series versus Complexity, and they have now matched that with one on the board. 2 in total for OC. CJ, mate, you must be proud.
Well, I wouldn't say just...
You must be starting to get a little bit, just a smidge of proud.
Well, we'll see what happens in the rest of this. Look, it's only a best of 5, but at the same time, it's a long series, and it just feels like there's some storylines to play out still.
So, Gladiators, although they didn't manage to get a win in that game, more impressed than I thought I would be, to be honest, because looking at their stats for both these teams, neither is stand out. They are at the wrong end of every stat that they want to be realistically, but that was decent quality.
It was an interesting game, number one. Again, Ground Zero, their defense isn't quite what I want to be seeing from those guys, conceding 3 goals in game number 1. But it's good to see them get their first win on the board. Confidence can do wonders. They were 0-6 going into this. Now they're 1-6. Let's see if they can build from here.
Yeah, the momentum, I think, just has to start with that single step as well. And Lockie, you've been looking throughout the entirety of this split so far. I mean, you looked at Lockie for a long time now. That was a decent performance from him.
Yeah, he's back. He's back. This is what we want to see, the OCE MVP, and he did it. It wasn't just about his mechanical ability in the online split. It was almost that mentality, you know, leaving Pioneers and joining this new team, that hunger, that drive to beat his old teammates, if you will, the old rivals now, the new rivals. And we're seeing it now. We're seeing the mentality starting to switch a bit back on. You know, they're back in the game, and they're not out of this tournament. This format allows them, you know, they're 2 wins away from top 8 if they really want it.
I mean, to me, you know, Kaka came relatively out of nowhere. Obviously, on Kaka's minions, he was being a threat last split. Joining Ground Zero, what's that been like for them?
Well, it's great to see Kaka and Fiber, because as we said, finally they've made a major. These guys have been fighting it out for years now, trying to get there, losing in third, fourth seemingly every time, winning a few regionals here and there. So just to have these guys finally on stage, it's going to mean a lot to them. And maybe it affected them a little bit in the earlier games. You know, when you've been trying for years now to make a major, you finally get there, and sometimes the expectations can become too much. You build it up too much in your head. But as you said, like, this is a series right now. You're playing Gladiators. This is a do-or-die matchup. But if they can build something here, if they can create some momentum, some confidence, they can snowball that into the next series.
A minute gone, no goals so far, but Fiber catching in the midfield, sends it high towards Kaka, but he does get challenged, falls back down towards Fiber. A couple of bites of Flat and Cherry, but nothing to write home about. LCT up onto the ceiling, but actually lets that ball go, and Lockie is being an absolute pest on this second map.
Game 1 was a little bit of a goal fest. We're starting to see more of a stalemate here in game number 2. LCT, can't quite get the touch. Fiber trying to create something in defense. Again, it's a lot of midfield game right now, a bit of cat and mouse for both sides. This is often what happens, you know, you see that goal fest, the 3-0, the 4-3, and then get into that next game and no team wants to concede. The defense starts to tighten up as Gladiators pushing forward, trying to get that first goal on the board. And
these demos started to fly into Gladiators wanting to try and turn around a little bit of their own luck, but they have inflicted the third most amount of demos through this entire tournament so far, nearly 5 per game. They are trying to reduce as many players on the opposition team as they possibly can, but Kaka shooting against a very present OSM in the net. Gladiators not able to get anything from that counter-attack. Instead, Luke Super Lucky finds Fiber with the reset into that corner, but doesn't quite actually manage to secure that. And look at all of Gladiators sitting back a little bit too far until OSM took the initiative and dived at the ball.
Yeah, this Gladiators need to be concerned about Ground Zero. They're so comfortable in offense. When we saw Gladiators online against Elevate, they didn't give them space. They just threw caution to the wind. We need to start seeing that again here as Ground Zero, they're seemingly getting on top. It feels like the first goal is inevitable.
Max do a double in the corner, but it just ends up finding Fiber yet again, who is looking very confident here on Forbidden Temple. Kaka beating out one of the final defenders in OSM. Super Lucky again in that back left corner. LCT to secure, but Fiber with that mid boost, he can then fly his way in, and the boost difference between these two teams right now is stark.
Yeah, Ground Zero looks so comfortable right now. The ball's been in the orange end for the past minute and a half, but Gladiators, they're still holding on, managing to find a way. Fiber does parry that one to the side. Super Lucky now. He's going to fake that one out. Kakadu off the ceiling, maybe a double touch. Going to get the angle saved out on the line.
Oh, that would have been cheeky. That would have been completely nasty. Unfortunately, Kaka not able to secure it with 2 men flying their way towards it on the goal line. Lucky now being a nuisance in the net, has the reset, bangs it towards the centre. No goal coming out this time, and this extended defense from Gladiators has been spectacular. They equipped their shields this morning, clearly.
Ground Zero growing in confidence, whoever in the offense right now. Super Lucky off the ceiling, gets the reset, does get the dunk out as well. Perhaps a shot coming in, parried to the side. Gladiators, again, their defense is just holding up, living up to their name.
Tell you what, they have done a fantastic job so far, because Ground Zero shots have not been easy to defend, but now a 2v1. LCT just letting that ball go a little bit too far, and Kaka sends it towards the middle of the net. 4 minutes of defense, but 1 goal for the good.
Well, it wouldn't be the Oceanic region if we didn't have one of these every now and then. It looked like it might have been going off the post. Kaka just dribbles it into his own net, a little bit worried about the man on his outside there after the demo, but this is what can happen if you defend for long enough. The other team overcommits, they get a little bit too, I guess, you almost get annoyed that you haven't scored at that point, and then it exposes you. There's holes in that defense.
I mean, that's what a lot of teams build their entire way that they play off. Their play styles fall down to those counterattacks, but Super Lucky manages to continue on that press immediately from the kickoff. Ground Zero know they need to get that goal back. OSM with a huge miss. Fiber sends it central, Super Lucky to punt it mid.
Yeah, just the worst case scenario there for Gladiators. After holding on, doing so well for 3 minutes there, then getting the go-ahead goal. to concede off that isn't great. It was a nice little pass up from Maxu, but OSM just couldn't quite get the speed, couldn't get the touch. Now we're all tied up.
1-1, now going into the final 30 seconds on Forbidden Temple. Maxu from the ceiling, a lot of confidence on that play, but Fiber twisting and turning his way towards that ball in the end. Super lucky to catch in the midfield with no boost though. He's gonna have to leave that one out of the way. Kaka towards that center of the net. The double touch comes down. Despite losing the first goal, they've doubled it up in quick fashion.
I love the pop-off on the player cams as well. Kaka loves that one, gets the goal. Huge double touch coming out. Had all the time on that backboard. No defense there from the Gladiators. And it is Ground Zero. It is the offense that is doing them wonders here. Oh, the fake kickoff.
I love the fake kickoff. Kickoff strats. Johnny Boy will be very happy back at home in the UK. Now,
is that Marky calling that one, do you reckon?
Oh, maybe. That's that world champ brain. Just maybe do a different kickoff, lads. Maybe just do something with your kickoff. It's the only set piece we've got in Rocket League. 5 seconds remain. Ground Zero managing to get not quite another goal on that chance. Gladiators, any other opportunities? Not this time. And Ground Zero are now on that series point.
Yeah, huge show of resilience as well there. They had so much offense, but to concede that goal, you could easily let that game fall away from you, but they found a way to get back into it. Kaka with a huge double touch. He's been showing up this series, sitting in the middle, popping off, and the boys are responding around him.
Lots of crowd love coming in quite early on today. By the way, if anybody wondering at home, the line outside is
it is ridiculous.
BJ literally, when we were coming here, said, Stumpy, we need to go just look at the line.
Yeah, there might be some slowness in terms of getting into the venue at the moment.
So many people out there. It goes like round the block entirely.
There's some minor teething issues for day one, but I'm sure that'll be figured out by the weekend, though. There's people still absolutely piling in. There's people carrying computers into this event that are...
like standing out like in the sun.
Standing out in the sun for hours. Look, they'll get in there eventually, and this crowd's starting to fill up. It's good to see here, watching some fantastic Rocket League, and it is Ground Zero getting their second win now. On match point.
Looking very chill as well, knowing, look, job's not done, boys. Look how close that was. That was a 1-goal game as well. Game 1 going to the overtime. This one just being, bear in mind, Gladiators taking the lead, and in the final minute, 2 goals in favour of Ground Zero. So Gladiators, they're going to be trying to push for their second ever win at RLCS land.
Can they do it? Can they find a way? And we saw this online. I keep mentioning that Elevate Grand Final, but they were 3-1 down in that game as well. Marky Duda called the timeout, said, boys, we need to fix some things. Let's see what they do. Let's see if they can change it up a little bit. This is only a best of 5. It's not a best of 7. But if they can get the first goal, get the first game win, maybe they can roll some momentum, or is it Fiber almost getting the goal?
Good inception from LCT on that chance, though, and Maxu passing back over towards OSM. A lot of these plays, though, I feel they're sending it towards their teammate, but there's not many ideas of what to do with it after that. Super lucky, though, taking a big error on that defense, but nobody from Gladiators able to move their way in to be able to capitalize on that mistake. Maxu missing. Kaka towards the center, sees Fiber, sees the net open, and sees goal 1 for Ground Zero.
So much confidence from Fiber. He had no boost, but he just pushed forward. He was looking for that passing play, finds Fiber, and a great shot as well. Just delayed the shot. LCT was expecting the speed. It didn't come there, and Fiber, Ground Zero, get the first goal here. Game number 3. They're staring down the barrel of a sweep.
I love that idea to just go for, send it straight to his nose. It's going to bounce off nicely. It was a great pass into. Kaka has been an assistive machine in this series so far, but in defense, it's going to have to be a defensive demon as well as that. Can't quite get around the side of Maxu. Fiber now into the backhand corner. And then about 50 boost, gets challenged by LCT nicely, but low boost again for Gladiators. That seems to be an issue over and over. Any chance that they have to really push, they've used all their boost just setting it up.
Kaka gets a great save as well. He's really come online this series. This is what we've seen online as well from Kaka. He just finds a way. We mentioned Super Lucky a lot, but sometimes it is Fiber and Kaka being the ones to set it up. Air dribble gets saved across from OSM. Ground Zero trying to find their second goal. Touch over the top could be open. Maxu gets back in time. Gladiators, it's down the wrong end at the moment, but there's plenty of time left.
Only 90 seconds has gone so far, but Ground Zero with that opening goal is going to be putting Gladiators on that back foot so early on. LCT on the side with 0 boost, gets handily beaten out. Maxi has to race back, does manage to do so, and the 100 boost is pretty in the corner for him to collect. Quickly challenged by Kaka on that instance, however. It leads LCT on the back with OSN having a polite off when you stand in a doorway and hold the door open for each other, and it gets a little bit strange.
Yeah, not a great touch there on the sideball from OSM. Gladiators, for the most part, they've looked pretty solid, they've looked pretty sound, but about cracking this ground zero defense, which for all accounts hasn't exactly been a fort, if you will. It's been a bit of an open canal. If they could just walk right in.
It's
right
more
now.
of a blanket fort than a fortification.
Yeah, they mean well, but it's not quite happening there. Maybe a pass down. OSM now with a little bit of space. You can get that 100 boost. The pick might just be across. LCT could get a shot. Both can't get a touch.
Fate not quite on their side this time, as now we approach halftime in the game. 40 boost Maxi, I feel, could have just gone for that ball. Try and do anything with it when you have that offense and boost at hand. Instead, it goes back into the orange half, a story that seems to have been retold over and over again in this series so far. LCT to receive, goes central, finds OSM with a touch, up for the double, but the angle is not there for him.
We're not getting that sustained offense here from Gladiators. We saw it in the first game, but right now, that double commit, this could be an open net right now. Ground zero, Kaka passes across the super locky instead of shooting.
I don't think that was deliberate.
That could have been the second goal on the board.
That didn't feel deliberate to me. I think that was a bit of a misplay from him, but they're still up 1 goal to the good Gladiators, having to find one as soon as they can.
And ground zero, they're trying to just put the nail in the coffin here. Fiber pass off the backboard, follow up super lock. He does get blocked out by Maxu. Kaka now has 100 boost, but he's just going to back off here. Minute 40, they don't need to score ground zero, but, well, as we said, they don't want to be in defense either.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, Gladiators in defense haven't exactly had the best story so far either. They are in this competition. Oh my word, what a save. They are in this competition so far the #1 in shots against them. They have nearly 12 shots against them per game so far, which is a horrifying thing to try and face off against. LCT on that backboard having to block out yet another to add to that statistic.
The demos are coming out though. OSM starting to get desperate. That just could be it over the top. Super Lucky gets the goal. Gladiators just overcommit, force it out too much.
Super Lucky on the camera, waving goodbye to Gladiators as well. Cheers, says let's go. He's a tall man, they can definitely see him, and he's got tall broccoli hair as well.
They are good mates, both of these teams out there, so they're certainly enjoying themselves. A little bit of friendly banter from both sides here, but now it's Gladiators. What can they do? 2 goals down, there's a minute left, there's still time. Crazier things have happened. They need to get in this blue half.
LCT left wall, sees Maxi central, but does not land nicely for him to be able to jump off nice and quickly. Maxi with the 50 over towards Kaka, will be challenging versus Super Lucky, and removes him from the pitch. Maybe a little bit of karma after that wave.
Yeah, that was personal, that one, I think.
It was.
That's maybe a shot.
There we go.
Stop. Oh, let's go a little bit wide there. The time, the clock is ticking down. Maybe a drop down follow-up. Fiber gets a great touch. Ground Zero's defense has been stellar this game, and perhaps what we need to see in future if they do win this series. Gladiators trying to change a Super Lucky redirect. Let's go wide.
A flick around nice and high for OSM, but
here we go.
Again, Fiber, an opportunity to just send it back towards the middle. Again, passing down the 1-2-3. Can it be 4-5 and a goal? Not on this chance, but the pass very weak. Central, the demo flies through. That may well be Gladiators home.
That was a beautiful setup. That whole play picked them apart, forced out the double commit. The demo came through as well. Ground Zero 3-0 in the game and about to be 3-0 in the series.
The final 15 counting down. Our dear American friends calling this garbage time quite often. But would it be a chance for Gladiators to get anything just for a keepsake to take home and maybe just clip it so then you can post it on your socials and say, we've gone home today, but unfortunately not by the looks of things. Ground Zero Gaming removing their headsets and removing Gladiators from the RLCS Winter Major. Congratulations on top 12 OCE.
OCE stays alive, the OCE #1 seed. Gladiators, they'll be heading home for this one. They'll take a lot of learnings from that experience, but it's fantastic to see the Ground Zero boys enjoying themselves on stage, getting their first series win.